right, give me one moment. All right, everybody, let's get started. I want to first start off the live stream by wishing everybody a very happy Sunday night. Hopefully you all had a wonderful weekend, were able to take some time off, recharge the batteries, and you are ready to hit it hard for the week ahead. It's going to be a busy one. Today is September 17th, 2023. It is a Sunday, right around 9 o'clock at night. Now, it is raining. It's probably going to rain for the duration of the stream. However, it looks like the rain's letting up a little bit. It's a little bit of a chilly night out here in New York City. But before we get into it, we have a couple action items to discuss, particularly some big updates in the city of New York. Now, we all know next week is going to be arguably the busiest week for New York City. So for those of you who don't know, starting from September 18th to September 22nd, you're going to have the UN General Assembly descend on New York. So what we're gonna do tonight, you're gonna see a lot of the notable hotels, you're gonna see a lot of the notable buildings. It's completely packed in the city. So if you're thinking about driving into the city tomorrow or really any day throughout the week, I would advise that you don't. It's gonna be extremely busy. It's gonna be gridlock traffic almost the entire week. There's gonna be road closures, there's going to be delays. So if you're thinking about coming to the city this week, I think it's best that you just take the train or public transportation because there is going to be major traffic. Now, President Joe Biden, the President of the United States, did just land, I think about 5 hours ago, in New York. So he is going to be meeting pretty much everybody, right, at the UN General Assembly, which is going to be taking place starting tomorrow all the way through the 22nd. This week on Wall Street, it's going to be pretty busy. It's going to be a big Fed week. We're going to be hearing from the Federal Reserve here in the United States, particularly the FOMC meeting starting on Wednesday. However, if we go to the second half of the week, we are going to hear from the Swiss National Bank, and we are also going to hear from the Bank of Japan on Friday. So the BOJ, as we know, has really been bucking the trend as it relates to monetary policy, particularly because they still have negative interest rates. As everybody has been really going full bore into this quantitative tightening cycle, we still see the Japanese with the Bank of Japan easing. For a little bit of comparative analysis here, it's almost 100% certainty that we're not going to get a rate hike here in the United States. So on Wednesday, Fed Chair Jerome Powell, it's looking like they're going to hold rates steady at the Fed funds target range of 5.25% to 5.5%. But if you look at the futures market, there's about a 40% chance or a 40% probability that we are going to get at least one more rate hike before the end of the year. Now, if you were to ask me, in my personal opinion, I think it's going to be a lot higher than that. I think we're going to almost certainly going to get one additional rate hike before the end of the year, because that inflation print that we got earlier last week was not looking so hot. Okay, inflation came in much hotter than expected, coming in at 3.7%. Energy costs are going up again, as well as crude. Now, speaking of crude oil, let's take a look at the futures real quick. You could follow along. You could type in ticker symbol CL. That is the light crude oil futures. And we are trading back above $90 a barrel. Now, here's what that means. This is going to start to translate over to higher prices at the pump for sure. I've been seeing some photos and videos go around Twitter, I guess now called X, and in some parts of California, you have $6 a gallon gas, which is a big issue, particularly going into an election cycle. So I think we're probably going to get at least one more rate hike before the end of the year. Again, currently futures markets are pricing that in at about a 40% probability. That's really all I got. We're going to take a walk around the city. It's going to be a very fun and interesting stream because all of the major hotels that we've been talking about, the St. Regis, the Peninsula Hotel, Amman, New York, the Park Hyatt, all of the major hotels, including the Plaza Hotel, are going to be so busy. Even as we pass 432 Park Avenue tonight, you guys aren't even going to believe it. There's so much traffic. There's thousands of black cars in the city because everybody is here from all over the world. This is probably the highest maximum security you're ever going to see on the island of Manhattan throughout the entire year. It's right now for the UN General Assembly. So we'll take a tour of some of the interesting hotels. We'll look at some of the major buildings on Billionaires Row because a lot of people are in there tonight. And then we'll talk about monetary policy, not only in the United States, but globally, because we are going to hear from major central banks this week. We'll take a look at futures for equities. If you take a look at the S&P 500 E-mini futures contract, ticker symbol ES, we opened about flat. We're up about 8 points. S&P is trading at $4,506. We'll take a look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average, or the Dow 30 futures, ticker symbol YM. We're up about 51 points, 34,978. And then lastly, the tech-heavy NASDAQ, I should say the NASDAQ 100 futures. The E-mini contract is NQ. We opened up about 22 points higher, 15,414. Take a look at some precious metals prices. Gold up about $2, trading at $19.25 an ounce, $1,925 an ounce. All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and close up the laptop here. I'll say hello to everybody in the chat, and we will get started. So allow me one moment. Okay, got the umbrella. Hey, Gustavo is here. I see Jafet Perez, Shannon, welcome. Sally, Gregory Clark, Richard Vogel, Rena Sandoval, Jafet Perez, D is here, my good friend. Hawaii, good to see you. Derek Dulce, long time no see. Jeff W277, Austin City Limits. We got the whole crowd here. British Gray, welcome. Good to see everybody. Bren says they just did the layoffs this past week. In relation to what? Dave in Maine. Good to see you, Dave. All right, who else we got? Derek Wellsome. Space Tool says, hey Tom, happy rainy Sunday. Good to see you. John Lee is joining us. Welcome. Brandon Spencer says, Tom, do you think buying gold is a good idea? Well, I don't know. I can't advise on what to buy or sell for obvious reasons. Hold on, just let me make sure the focus is good here. Give me 2 seconds. Okay, are we streaming in 1080p? Because I had to update my Prism app, and I'm not sure if this is 1080p or not. It shows 720 on my end. Anyway, we are now looking at 432 Park Avenue here, folks. And as I've said before, I'll just quickly say it again for those of you who are just joining the live stream. This is probably going to be arguably the busiest week in New York City. US President Joe Biden just touched down all of maybe 2 or 3 hours ago in New York for the UN General Assembly. Security is all but maximum security here. You're going to see black cars driving around tonight. There's probably going to be tons of police presence here because all week starting tomorrow, the UN General Assembly will be in full effect. There's going to be road closures. There's going to be delays. So if you're thinking about driving into Manhattan at all next week, I would advise against it. Take public transportation, take the Long Island Railroad, take the Metro North, and take the subway, because chances are you are going to be sitting in absolute gridlock. Now, I do want to address just that one quick question. Do I think it's a good time to buy gold? Now, obviously, I can't advise and say, do this or do that, but this is the way I think about gold and other precious metals, okay? Platinum, palladium, silver, and the like. Gold has really been on a tear over the past year. Now, if you think about why, well, think about what happened post the big C, or post-COVID, right? Inflation went wild in the United States. Now, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the CPI report peaked at 9.1% about this time last year. And every month since then, we've been declining. Inflation has been coming down. So gold has sort of teetered off here, and it is finding extreme resistance at $2,000 an ounce. So I think if this inflation trend continues to come down, obviously we did have 3 CPI reports in a row with higher than expected readings. But generally speaking, if you look at the data and you look at the individual categories of inflation or CPI, things are coming down. And the most important component in my eyes, right, and this is an opinionated statement here, the most important component of CPI is shelter costs. And we now have 3 consecutive months of shelter costs coming down. I think that trend is going to continue. You're going to see the residential real estate market soften. You're going to see a big sucker punch to commercial real estate. And that's normal. That's fine because that's how business cycles work. Usually real estate has the largest lagged effect because there's less liquidity. Usually the most liquid assets reprice first, and then you will have your less liquid assets reprice last. So we're standing on the corner of Park Avenue. I think I can actually close up my umbrella. I think the city looks really beautiful when it rains. Pay attention to the sidewalks and the street. The city lights reflecting off of the damp asphalt is fantastic. It's amazing. Hey, Pineapple Water is here. This is UGG, the most important organization on the planet, the UN. Stormy is here. Good to see you. Colton Manning, welcome. Thanks so much for joining us. Luxury Legacy Lanes is beautiful building. Welcome, welcome. Alex is here. Now, right across the street, this is 425 Park Avenue. This is one of the newest Class A office towers in Manhattan. It is absolutely beautiful tonight. I see Austin City Limits. Now, I'm actually going to cross the street because I want to point something out. We're going to do a walk past all of the main luxury 5-star hotels in Manhattan and all of the buildings on Billionaires Row, and I want you to notice a main difference here. 432 Park Avenue, as we cross over to the other side of Park so we can have a little bit better view, a lot of lights are on. You know, just before we started the stream, there was about maybe 15 or 20, literally, big black SUVs, you know, Cadillac Escalades, Chevy Suburbans, dropping off people at 432 Park Avenue. And a lot of those units on Billionaires Row, as we've been talking about, are used as pied-à-terres. Very, very seldom are a lot of these big multi-million-dollar apartments on Billionaires Row used as primary residences. Now, there are some, but most of them are pied-à-terres for special events, right? People come in for the holidays, you know, maybe very wealthy politicians or even presidents or even heads of state own some pretty pricey apartments here on Billionaires Row. So check this out. As we turn around and gaze up at 432 Park Avenue, you can see there's a lot more lights on tonight. Usually it's just those core lights that actually illuminate the floors where it's empty to let air pass through. But tonight there's a lot of lights on. So 432 Park Avenue is packed. When we walk past 157 in Central Park Tower, particularly 220 Central Park South, you will see tons of lights on. This whole apartment is there. It's just really interesting perspective to see. All right, let's head uptown. Let me see if I can adjust the camera. Hey, RCE says, why do people use black SUVs more than luxury vehicles? Well, I think a lot of those, you know, Chevy Suburbans and Cadillac Escalades are luxury vehicles. And particularly now with the UN General Assembly this week, chances are a lot of those vehicles are probably armored, right? I've been seeing so many people from all over the world, different countries. It's kind of cool. We might as well cross as we have the light here. So yeah, the city's going to be crazy this week. The city's going to be very busy. Hey, the 79FH. This is every floor at 432 Park Avenue is 8,200 square feet. They're definitely beautiful apartments. We'll walk past it one more time and then we'll make a right outside the Trump International Hotel and Tower. Hey, Emily's here. Says, good morning, New York City from Indonesia. Welcome. Lisa's here. Says, good evening, Tom and chat from Colorado. Well, welcome to a very rainy New York City. Oh, by the way, I do have an update for all of you. If you want to check out, you can see some of the UN gentlemen and women over here. But if you want to check out a video tour of one of our newest listings at 74 Grand Street, it is a beautiful loft style apartment. If you type !grand, G-R-A-N-D in the chat, it's going to drop the link to that tour. I think you guys are going to like it. Soho is one of my favorite neighborhoods in Manhattan. It is very famous for those cast iron facades, as well as those beautiful fire escapes. One more peek at 432, and we will head out. See, this is what I'm talking about. You can see all of the black cars lined up all up and down. Here's another one in the parking bay here. Everybody's in town for the UN General Assembly. Here's another one actually pulling up as we speak into the parking lot of 432 Park Avenue. This has been going on all day. Hey, Timothy says maybe the wealthy and powerful can discuss. Can discuss solutions to climate change after flying in on their private jets. Yeah, no, it's funny. RB says, Tom, by the way, last night's walk was great. Your interaction in Little Italy was fantastic. Thank you. You know, San Gennaro's feast is a lot of fun. Every year it's fantastic. I love it. I would advise you all to go. Oh, look at this, everybody. Well, of course, once I show it, it's going to change. But it was 5% for 6-month APY on a CD. That's not bad. That's not bad. Rates are going up. We're going to hear from the Federal Reserve again this week on Wednesday. That is Fed week. We're going to hear from our good friend, Fed Chair Jerome Powell. Hey, Ryan says, does anybody know why 2-year bond yield spiked 5% on the open? 5.3. It's a very massive move. Well, rates are going higher. Maybe it's anticipation of this week. There's also probably going to be some repricing going on. If you look at futures markets right now, they're pricing in about a 40% probability that we're going to get at least one more rate hike by the end of the year. Now, it's almost 100% consensus that on Wednesday we're not going to get a rate hike, but maybe markets are shifting and, you know, maybe there is a slight chance we may get a rate hike. Now, in my view, as we've officially made it to New York City's Billionaires Row, this is Madison Avenue and 57th Street. You can see the Steinway Tower in the distance. Lots of lights are on. 157 and Central Park Tower. I think we're almost certainly going to get one more rate hike before the end of the year. That is my view. Because you have energy costs really, really going up aggressively yet again. In the distance, you have the beautiful One Vanderbilt building. Ooh, look at this. Now, we're going to head, that may be President Joe Biden, who knows? We're going to go head to the Ritz-Carlton at Central Park South. That hotel usually houses the most diplomats and politicians. Central Park South is going to be gridlock traffic tonight, if I had to bet. Hey, Jeff W277 says, is it 100% consensus that the rate hikes will be over at the end of the year? No. I mean, there was, Goldman Sachs issued a statement. Now, this statement may be a little bit outdated, just to be fair. I don't want to sound like I'm mischaracterizing the economists at Goldman Sachs, but Here's the Rolex store. But economists at Goldman Sachs came out and they're saying it's almost a certainty that we're going to get rate cuts by Q1 of 2024. I think they're crazy, in just my very humble, blunt opinion. There's no way that's going to happen. I mean, think about what's going on right now in the world and think about what monetary policy is used for, right? This is a pretty cool shot with the steam coming out of the streets. Monetary policy is sort of used to pull levers on the economy to heat it up or slow it down. And right now, if you look at the data, unemployment is still near all-time record lows. All while you have inflation ticking up for 3 consecutive CPI reports, with crude oil back again over $90 a barrel. And there has been some reports this weekend that a gallon of gas at the pump in some places in California, it's over $6 a gallon now, yet again. So in an election year, 2024, which I can't even believe that's coming up, but it is, why on earth would the Federal Reserve be cutting interest rates? That's gonna, I mean, if we get a rate cut in Q1 2024, in my view, you're gonna have just like runaway wild inflation. The Fed is doing the right thing. They're being steadfast with tightening monetary conditions. And their plan is just starting to work as it relates to getting shelter costs down. So the cost of rent, the cost of single family homes, it's just starting to come down, and I predict that it's going to continue to come down and ease over the next few months. Hey, Ed Dunkel is here, says I think labor strikes might make Powell increase rates even more. This is Ed Dunkel. Interesting thought. Maybe. Now, Ed, what do you think about all these labor strikes, particularly with the auto OEMs? Mr. G's FYI, crude oil futures this evening are $91. Whoa. We just checked it all of 15 minutes ago, and it was around $90. I mean, maybe it's really pumping on the open here, which is unfortunate. You know, that's really unfortunate, and I'll tell you why. Because we are going into the holiday season. There's going to be so many people traveling. There's going to be people driving all over the country. There's going to be people flying. And that means it's just going to be more expensive to do everything. I guess story of the inflationary life, I guess. Okay, I do want to point out a couple notable buildings here, team. We are now standing on the corner of 5th Avenue and East 57th Street. To the left, you see the beautiful flagship Tiffany & Co. building. Now, this just went under a $500 million renovation, a $500 million. The building looks fantastic. It's totally gut renovated, but unfortunately, about 2 weeks after the grand opening right here at Tiffany, there was an unfortunate electrical fire in the basement that caused significant damage. This is a really cool shot here with all the steam pouring out of the street. Hey, Joel PM says, according to Ken Griffin at Citadel Securities, rate hikes take at least a full year to work their way into the economy. And I would agree wholeheartedly. And I think that's what we're seeing, right, Joel? We're sort of seeing that now. You know, not to sound like a broken record, but every single day for the past 2 months, I've been in the trenches in the New York City real estate market, both on the residential side and the commercial side. And I could tell you with certainty, okay, with 100% certainty, we might as well walk down by the Plaza since we're stuck at this red light. The market is easing and sellers are starting to come to grips with reality to say, look, if I want a deal to get done, I'm going to need to price my property in accordance to the new rate environment. And that's starting to happen. Now, does that mean that, and I want to be very clear about this because ever since the 2008 financial crisis, anytime somebody talks about, real estate prices going down, they automatically default to, oh my God, everything's going to crash 50% or 60%. Everybody's going to lose everything. No. I really do believe that the vast majority of Americans have post-traumatic stress disorder from the 2008 financial crisis. And anytime they see the stock market going down a little bit, anytime they see the housing market, a little bit shaky, they automatically default 100% of the time to the worst case scenario. Everything's going to drop 60%. Everybody's going to be out of work. The economy is going to crash. It's going to be the next Great Depression. No. Not every correction in the market has to be some, grandiose, unbelievable implosion, right? Those are maybe once in 20-year events. But what I'm seeing is you're probably in select markets going to have up to 20% price declines, particularly the markets that were really, really overheated, such as your Orlando, Floridas, your Tampa, Florida, your Miami, Houston, Austin, Texas, those type of markets, right? Now, that's not bad. That's not a bad thing. I mean, God forbid people can afford to buy houses and pay their rent again. That's just the way the markets work. That is a market cycle in action. And when prices decline, guess what? Eventually they find a bottom. People who were diligent and who saved money and have capital built up, they go and deploy their capital, and a new cycle starts yet again. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think that's what's starting to happen. So Joel PM, I agree that, it takes at least a full 12 months for rate hikes to materially affect and impact the market. Sabrina Fair, what's up? Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Our good friend Juan Hernandez from Miami, Florida is here. Says, Tom, we are in the craziest bull market ever, though. It's bound to end at some time, and we'll have less returns over time for a short period, especially with current political sentiment. Interesting. Maybe. It's definitely possible. Really quick, this building all the way in the distance right here, this black building in between the Aman Hotel and Bergdorf, this is called 53 West 53rd, and it is one of the most luxurious and the most expensive apartment buildings in New York City. It's technically classified as a billionaires row building. Hey, Michael Charlie is here. Says Trump Tower started Billionaires Row along with Macklow's Carnegie Tower. The City Spire at 156 West 56th Street designed. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say that if you want to take it all the way back. Now, Donald Trump once owned this guy right here, the GM building. This is another beautiful building right here at Central Park. This is the flagship Apple store. It's open 24/7, 365, even on Christmas. And you could see some people still shopping almost at 11 o'clock at night at the flagship Apple store. Hey, Black Valley is here. It says blood stock market is thriving in Kentucky. 1,400 horses through the auction ring with the median price tag of $225,000, essentially buying a lottery ticket. Wow. Cool. Vince says, hey Tom, new to the channel, first time in the chat. It seems like a nice place to be. Love the ambiance of the city. Hey, well, welcome. We're happy to have you here on Walks in Wall Street, and we're happy to have you here in the city. You know, we do, for those new people, and we've been growing pretty fast, so welcome to all of our new viewers. Essentially what we do here is we take walking tours of the city. We explore notable neighborhoods in Manhattan and Brooklyn, and we have a chat about the financial markets. So yeah, feel free to join. We're happy to have you here. Now, this I have to point out. We are now on the corner of Central Park South and Fifth Avenue. Right across the way is the famous Plaza Hotel. Now, we are actually going to walk over and do a little bit of a walking tour of the hotel and residences, because today it's going to be absolutely fully packed, as you could tell by a lot of the lights that are on in the plaza. Once again, this week starting tomorrow, the UN General Assembly will descend on New York City, and it is going to be absolutely gridlock traffic the entire week. So do not try to drive in the city. Now, a little bit of stock market history here for those new viewers. We are standing across the street from one of my favorite buildings in all of New York City. It's called the Sherry Netherland. Now, unfortunately, as you look up at the Sherry Netherland, it is totally encapsulated with scaffolding. So that's the downside. But the good news is, one of my favorite books on the stock market ever. It's called Reminiscences of a Stock Operator. And I would advise everybody go out and buy that book. Now, if you've heard of Paul Tudor Jones, if you want to work at his hedge fund / family office, Tudor Investments, it is rumored that one of the requirements in order to get hired is you have to read Reminiscences of a Stock Operator. And that book is based on the life of Jesse Livermore. And he was called the boy plunger back in the day. So he would go down and trade at the bucket shops down on Wall Street, and then he would come all the way back uptown to the corner of 5th Avenue and East 59th Street. And he would walk right through these doors where the NYPD car is standing, and he would have a drink in the hotel lobby or the lounge of the Sherry Netherland. So the book is Reminiscences of a Stock Operator, based on the life of Jesse Livermore. Now, when you cross the street, you'll notice a lot of the Sherry Netherland insignia here that's engraved into the sidewalk. Very nice, very beautiful. And we'll check out the famous clock at the Sherry Netherland. Again, unfortunately, there's all this scaffolding, but what can we do? All right, so there is the famous clock here at the Sherry Netherland. Once again, as you see, you have big police presence here and security. You have an NYPD vehicle here. You have, black cars pretty much lined up all the way down the street, because there's probably a lot of big names that are staying at all of these particular hotels. Now, the architectural integrity of the inside of the lobby at the Sherry Netherland is really unbelievable, but it's rumored that the cloakroom within the Sherry Netherland no longer exists. And the cloakroom is unfortunately where Jesse Livermore took his own life on Thanksgiving. Pretty cool. Look at this view though. As you walk out of the Sherry Netherland, you have unobstructed views of the Plaza Hotel and all of New York City's Billionaires Row. Now, if you look at this building right here, this is called the Steinway Tower. This is the skinniest residential apartment building in the entire world, and it's one of the newest completed buildings on New York City's Billionaires Row. Speaking of Ken Griffin from Citadel Securities, Joel PM was sort of talking about Ken Griffin about maybe 3 or 4 minutes ago on the live stream. If you look all the way to the west side of Central Park, this building with the gold top is 220 Central Park South, and it was developed by Vornado Realty Trust. Now, Ken Griffin owns, I believe, 3 specific floors in that building. It's one of the most luxurious and exclusive condominiums anywhere in the world, and it sits right in front of Central Park Tower. Now, remember, as we continue on our walk down New York City's Billionaires Row, the man who started it all, his name is Gary Burnett. So you could look him up. He's a great guy. Gary Burnett is the CEO and founder of Extel, and he really pioneered New York City's Billionaires Row, starting with 157. And 157 was completed in 2014, and it houses the very famous Park Hyatt Hotel. You could see all of the UN people crossing the street here. Essie says, Tom, please give a tour of the skinny building. I'm working on it. I only like to give property tours of the listings that I have. It's a little bit more difficult when I don't have the listing. Hey, Pineapple Water says it's a hotel, also like many, and costs $1,300 a night. Indeed. Juan says, Tom, have you ever attended an event at Carnegie Hall? He is definitely an American business titan. I like to watch The Men Who Built America on the History Channel. Now, I haven't attended an event at Carnegie Hall, but there was one time we had a big blackout in New York City, and Carnegie Hall was having a major event, and the event was paused. Oop, here's more, I guess, diplomats coming. We have the NYPD doing a little bit of a maneuver. This guy is probably really important. He has a police escort. So you have one police officer in the front, another in the back, escorting somebody probably very important. Let's just say that. But no, I haven't been to an event at Carnegie Hall. I would love to. I really, really would love to. But when there was a blackout in New York, essentially what happened is everybody started to come out on the street and start playing. And it was beautiful. It was a beautiful sight to see. Ooh. Now we have, this is kind of cool to show you guys this, because this happens every year in New York for the UN General Assembly. And the hot spots where you could see a lot of this is around all of the 5-star luxury hotels and towers, particularly here on New York City's Central Park South and Billionaires Row. So this is a major police escort here, everybody. Seems to be going towards 432 Park Avenue, right where we were at the start of the live stream. Now, I'd bet you anything, they probably own a unit at 432 Park, where they are headed right now. Kind of cool to see. Hey, Spencer, this sure is cool, Tom. This is so great. Never see this on the news. Yeah, I mean, I believe there was a Reuters article that just dropped maybe 3 hours ago. President Joe Biden did land in New York City, and he will be spending the night here. And I think he's going to be here in New York all week, too. Yeah, Wendy England says totally different vibe from Fashion Week, that's for sure. Hawaii says, was that Biden? I don't know, maybe. I think it's a little bit past his bedtime, though. I don't know if he's out. That was just a joke, by the way. Not political, just a joke. Again, that's 432 Park, and that's Trump Tower. But let's cross the street and check out the Plaza Hotel. Now remember, if you want to stay at the Plaza, the entrance is on the east side of the building. On the Central Park Tower address, or not Central Park Tower, on the Central Park South address, that is actually the residences for people who own units in the building. That would be pretty amazing to say you live in the Plaza Hotel. I believe Tommy Hilfiger is selling, or in the process of actively selling, his beautiful apartment at the Plaza. But here's the front doors. Really stunning here. But if you're all enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new, because we do go live about 7 days a week. At least we try, starting at 8:30 p.m. Okay, everybody, we've just turned left on Central Park South, so we are headed towards 59th Street, Columbus Circle. But before we do that, pay close attention to the left-hand side of your screen right now, because this is the main entrance for the residences at the Plaza. The facade of this building is absolutely amazing. The attention to detail, the architecture, I mean, it's just really unbelievable. You'll see all of the Plaza logos and insignia engraved into everything. It's a beautiful, beautiful building. Really stunning. Once again, you have the Plaza Hotel logos here. And these beautiful stairs going up to your residence at One Central Park. I mean, think about an address. I mean, One Central Park, I mean, wow. To be able to say, oh, where do you live? I live at One Central Park South. That's a fantastic, fantastic address. What do you guys think of the facade at the residences at the Plaza Hotel? I think it's very clean, very appropriate for the building. The only unfortunate thing is there's scaffolding around the entire building. But I think they're doing a major renovation and restoration to the facade. Hey, Sally's here. What's up? I see T-Pack 5000. Good to see you. Steph UF. Welcome. Yes, it is a doorman building. Absolutely. Ooh, it's starting to rain again. Boom. Now, speaking of another big tower that has a very famous address of One, I want you to look at this building that's right next to the Deutsche Bank Towers. That is One Central Park West. And that is the Trump International Hotel and Tower. And that has the address of One Central Park West. And the Plaza Hotel has One Central Park South. Pretty iconic. This is the Park Lane Hotel, which under COVID, unfortunately, it was closed down. And they took the time to do a complete gut renovation of the building. And right next to the Park Lane Hotel, you will see the very famous and luxurious Ritz-Carlton Hotel and Residences. This is a famous establishment on Central Park South. It's called Sarah Beth's. Now, I think Sarah Beth's is a little bit pricey. I don't think the food is that great. You're really paying for the location when you're eating there. I always like looking at this view. You see the beautiful American flag hanging from the Park Lane Hotel, and then you have the Sherry Netherland in the distance, where we just did a quick walking tour of about 15 minutes ago. And Central Park, the start of it is right in front of you. Hey, Stefan says rain in New York City always reminds me of Blade Runner. All right, everybody, we got somebody important again. Look at this. And I told you, right outside of the Ritz-Carlton, you have all of these Mercedes-Benz Sprinter vans, probably making a U-turn, and are about to drop somebody pretty important off outside of the Ritz-Carlton. You see a lot of these Cadillac Escalades all up and down. You have the NYPD. Now, my colleague, I'll give him a quick shout out because he has an unbelievable listing in this building at 50 Central Park South. He's one of the greatest brokers in all of New York City. His name is Noble Black, and I was able to do a quick tour of the listing, which is through the second door. So remember, the first door that you're going to see right here, this is the hotel at the Ritz-Carlton. And the second door, which is 50 Central Park South, is the residences. So right here, there's an amazing listing, I believe on the 16th floor of this building. The current owner is using it as a pied-à-terre, but it is really, really stunning. And again, Noble Black has that listing. All right, umbrellas going up again. Hey, Joey B, this is always Tom. Love the views, learning about the history and the different areas of the city. Thank you. I look forward to visiting New York City. Hey, that's awesome. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying the walk. Now we are crossing pretty much the main location where a lot of the tourists enter Central Park. This is 6th Avenue or Avenue of the Americas. This is one of the main entrances to Central Park. You can see the horse and carriages in the distance. But I have to point out another building here. We're standing on the corner of 106 Central Park South. This is actually my old apartment building. This was by far the best apartment I've ever had in my life in the city. And it was amazing. I mean, imagine being able to wake up and have your front door Central Park. I mean, fantastic, fantastic stuff. Now, that was when we had the mini flash crash in real estate in New York City. You know, the same apartment that I rented is probably on the market for double that now. But you can have a little bit of a look into the lobby. Isn't that beautiful? There's like a fountain here. During Christmas, they decorated very, very beautifully. Once again, this is 106 Central Park South. It's a really, really stunning property. Hey, Western Mass Dave, what's up? Good to see you, Dave, and thank you for joining us tonight on this very rainy and wet New York City night. For those of you who are just joining us, we did a quick recap of the week ahead on Wall Street. Now, it's going to be very important to pay attention to Wednesday, because that is the FOMC meeting, when the Federal Reserve will set the precedent for monetary policy. But it's looking like there's going to be no interest rate hike. Ukrainian Royals is, what is your favorite neighborhood in Manhattan? Oof, it's a great question. And thank you for your donation. I would say probably Central Park South or the Upper West Side. Because Central Park South is just so gorgeous. And the Upper West Side is very quiet and gorgeous. Hey, Katie Korn says hello from South Florida. I will be joining you pretty soon in South Florida. I'm looking forward to it. October 1st, we will be back in the 305. And to say I'm looking forward to it is a very, very aggressive understatement. Oops, I think we have somebody else coming down. So this is just for some perspective of where we walked. Looks like we have yet again another police escort. Hey, Beacon, New York's Upper West Side isn't all that quiet. Upper East Side is quieter. I actually disagree. With that. I don't really like the Upper East Side too much. I mean, I like Sutton Place. It's just more, it's more accessible to the Upper West Side, I think. This is the JW Marriott Essex House, which is another 5-star hotel and residence here in New York City. The lobby of the Essex House is really, really beautiful. It's a classic Art Deco style building in Manhattan. You can kind of see some of the crown moldings. It's gorgeous. Hey, Blues Writer, what's up? It's one of my favorite hotels. Right there, the JW Marriott Essex House. So they're doing some major renovations to the hotel. So they've actually moved the restaurant to the ballroom. So you can kind of see in here, this is sort of like a makeshift restaurant. And this is actually inside one of the ballrooms as the main restaurant is under renovation. Okay, this is the very famous New York Athletic Club. Beautiful building, amazing architecture. Look at that. Really stunning building. Here's a view from the other side. You can see some people going into the New York Athletic Club now. It's an amazing club. I love the architectural integrity of Central Park South in general. However, if you go around the side of the building, on 58th Street, you're gonna see Alwyn Court, which is one of my personal favorite buildings in New York City. The architectural integrity of that building is unmatched in my view. Hey, WM, thank you so much for your $5 donations. Appreciate you going out in the rain. No problem, I love going out in the rain. Thank you for your donation. Now, this is the building of all buildings. This guy right here is Central Park Tower. And this is one of the most luxurious apartment buildings anywhere in the entire world. Now, the triplex that sits atop Central Park Tower was on the market for $250 million. However, they just announced a pretty aggressive price drop. So it is no longer listed at $250 million anymore. All right, let's press onward. It's strange. I'm feeling like a change in, it's gonna sound weird, but I feel like a change in air pressure. I don't know if that's a thing, but I kind of feel it in my head. Right as we walk to 59th Street. I just got this big blast of cold air. Now, all week is supposed to be a little bit dicey with the weather because of Hurricane Lee. Now, we're not supposed to get a direct hit, thank God, but it's supposed to be very, very, very choppy surf for all those surfers out there. Hey, Emil, what's up? Good to see you. Since they've lowered the price by $55 million. Yeah, kind of wild to think about. I kind of knew it was never going to sell at that price, but Hey, Elliott Wave Review, thank you so much for your $5 donations. Says, hey Tom, how does one get a job at a realtor firm like you did? Do you need to take specific courses, or is that optional? Well, I mean, are you talking about it at a brokerage? So I work on a team, right? So I am on a real estate sales team here in New York City, the Kirsten Jordan team at Douglas Elliman. You may be familiar with her. She was the first female broker that was cast on the show $1 Million Listing New York. But anybody could get a job as a realtor. You just have to take a test. It's pretty much the lowest barrier to entry there is. But if you want to get on somebody's team, yeah, it's just sort of like applying to a job, right? You know, let's say, for example, I created a sales team at Douglas Elliman. I would hire agents, so I would probably have a very extensive interview process and the like. But yeah, I think the Kirsten Jordan team is a very good fit for me because, you know, I have a very heavy finance background, and Kirsten's husband is a very well-known developer from Italy, runs a private equity firm. So I want to do deals on that end, right in the commercial space, multifamily, and develop my own buildings. And I love sales. And there's no better salesperson, in my opinion, in New York City than Kirsten Jordan. I think she's fantastic. Also, Jill Purcell, she was the one who sold out the Woolworths building, right? So if anybody's familiar with that, obviously the very iconic Woolworths building, my now colleague Jill Purcell, she's the one who sold it out. She led up the sales on the building. So yeah, I think you got to get around very successful people, and I think that's what the Kirsten Jordan team has to offer. I mean, the best in the business. They do billions of dollars in transactions, and I think it'll be a good fit. But good question. All right, guys, this is an amazing close-up of Alwyn Court. Look at that. Such unique architecture here. It's fantastic. Hey, Davio Zip says, hey Tom, I just saw. Oh, it's really raining now. Your Grand Street apartment, it looks similar in many ways to my Chevron Island townhouse on the Gold Coast of Australia. Thank you for the regular updates, Dave. Oh, so cool, man. That must be beautiful, because the Grand Street apartment is fantastic. It's a beautiful loft-style apartment. Let me try to wipe the camera lens here. Wow, the Gold Coast in Australia. It's fantastic. Now, this is the Steinway building. This is the skinniest residential apartment building in the entire world. Now, speaking of the... Ooh, it's really starting to rain sideways now. Let's try to get back under the scaffolding. Hold on. Okay, we'll try to stay as dry as possible. Oof. We'll walk towards 57th Street. Hey Emil, what's up? This is Tom. Did you hear that Tal Alexander and his brother sold the most expensive home in 2019? Yeah, so the Alexander brothers actually we just did a deal with them on Central Park West. They are very talented. I mean, the business they built is incredible. They had one of the most successful teams at Elliman ever, and now they went out on their own. And I think they're going to be, you know, here's one of the reasons why I really admire and respect the Alexander brothers, particularly, is they are very, very niche specific. They have specialization, and they go after the big deals. So you'll always see the deals of the year across the country, particularly in New York and in South Florida. They will always do the big deals of the year, right? They have great networking capability. I I think they did the deal at 220 Central Park South for Ken Griffin. They're just amazing networkers, and they're really hard workers, and they're just great people overall. So yeah, it's fantastic to see them progress, and I think they're going to get even bigger. I think they're going to do more deals, bigger numbers every single year. I'm excited to see what they do on the development side. They have very creative flair, and I think that they would do really well. They already have a few projects, but... All right, let's head towards 59th Street, Columbus Circle. Yeah. This is the Carnegie Diner here. Now, I did just want to make one quick note. I think that's going to be very important to pay attention to this week. Now, we've already covered that on Wednesday, we are going to hear from the Federal Reserve, right? That is the FOMC meeting. But last week, we heard from Christine Lagarde, who leads the ECB, the European Central Bank, right? They decided to raise interest rates over at the ECB. I believe the US at the Federal Reserve is going to hold steady this week, but we are also going to hear from the Swiss National Bank, and they are expected to raise rates as well. Now, here's where the major contrast comes in, as we are standing directly outside the beautiful Central Park Tower at 217 West 57th Street. If you fast forward all the way to Friday, we are going to hear from our good friends over at the BOJ. Yeah, the Bank of Japan will be on the chopping block for Friday as they give an update to their go forward as it relates to monetary policy. Now, we all know, right, one of the most notable things about central banking in Japan is unbelievable money printing and artificially suppressed rates. If you want to know what the lending rate is that is set by the Bank of Japan, it is still negative. So as the entire globe pretty much has been switching from quantitative easing to quantitative tightening, well, the BOJ has been holding steady with negative interest rates, which is just an unbelievably wild monetary policy experiment. So we'll see what happens. It looks like they're going to hold steady. They're probably not going to cut. They're probably not going to raise rates. They're going to hold their interest rates still at negative 0.25%, I believe, if I can remember correctly. So we are now on Broadway looking uptown at the very famous Trump International Hotel and Tower. Hey, Stormy's here. Teresa Diaz, welcome. Good to see you. Jafet Perez. Hey, Robert, what's up? Bree Graham's blues writer. Jafet Perez, even with all the Fed hikes this year, the market did pretty well. Yeah, I mean, so again, we're sort of talking about that lagged effect, right? And Joel PM mentioned this at the very beginning of the stream. He mentioned an interview that Ken Griffin did, I believe with Bloomberg. I think it was with Bloomberg. It may have been Reuters, but essentially Ken Griffin is like, look, in order for the economy to really feel the full effect of rising interest rates, it's going to take about 12 months, right, for the entire economy to feel it. But, you know, again, think about in order of liquidity, right? The more liquid something is, the more liquid the asset class, the more sensitive it is to be repriced for a higher rate environment. And that's why in 2021, I argue, we've already seen the repricing in equities, right? Particularly for a lot of high beta stuff, which just so happens to be a lot of the stuff we talk about because, you know, my background is in tech. So think about all the software as a service, big enterprise software. In 2021, all that stuff repriced. You had breathtaking declines in some of these stocks. I mean, some of them went down, 60, 70, 80% in these individual growth stocks, right? So the repricing was extremely rapid in equities. Now, you sort of have to ask yourself, why is that? Well, I mean, ask yourself as an investor. Well, chances are if you manage money, or if you work at a bank, or you work for a hedge fund, or even if you're just managing your personal assets and you're a business person, well, the only thing that really matters is determining the value of a company's cash flows and what they're going to be, over a 5 and a 10-year basis. So when interest rates are set at rock bottom levels, we'll cross to the north here. We'll take a quick walk around Deutsche Bank Tower. So when interest rates are set at rock bottom levels, well, companies go through a multiple expansion, because when rates are really, really low, the present value of a company's future cash flows are a lot more lucrative. However, when rates start to go up and money gets more expensive, the present value of those companies' future cash flows erode, right? Because now you have competition from fixed income and the like. I mean, just look at the yield curve right now. I think it's very important to do that. If you go to cnbc.com/bonds, yet again, cnbc.com/bonds, you'll see the entire yield curve, right? So look at a 1-year treasury right now. What is it yielding? A little bit under 5.5%. It's pretty significant, right? I mean, if you have 10 million bucks, 20 million bucks, that's a significant income for sitting, on your purchasing treasuries or T-bills and really doing nothing, right? That's a pretty good risk-free rate of return. But real estate, right, as we talked about, is usually the last to reprice in a cycle for that exact reason, liquidity and terms, I would say. Think about all of the outstanding debt for commercial real estate right now. Well, that debt has a term to when it has to be refinanced. Now, when it's going to be refinanced, it's not going to be these low interest rates that we saw in 2020 and 2021. I mean, it's going to be significantly higher. So that could potentially send a lot of these, assets into default, which is going to create a lot of opportunity for investors, particularly distressed asset investors. I would recommend you look up the gentleman by the name of Sam Zell. Now, unfortunately, Sam Zell, he passed away this year, which really sucks because he was a great guy. But think about how Sam Zell really made his fortune. It was by being a contrarian, right? And I think this is a little bit of a time to be contrarian in nature. Hey, Brian Forrest, welcome to Columbus Circle on this very rainy night. Hey, Bree Grams, welcome. Marilyn says, hey, Tom, it's been a while since I've been on your stream enjoying the walks. Well, it's fantastic to have you back. It's a pleasure to have you here. I'll give everybody a quick shot of the Deutsche Bank Tower. Now remember, this used to be the Time Warner Center, and now Deutsche Bank has officially vacated 60 Wall Street. That was the last standing bulge bracket investment bank on Wall Street. 60 Wall, they are now here at Columbus Circle. I always love looking at this view. Check that out. You see 220 Central Park South and Central Park Tower in the distance. That is a gorgeous, gorgeous view. Amazing. You know what I may do? I may actually step inside for a little bit. So bear with me. Hey, FredX. What's up? Give us an update on Alaska. What's going on up there? Ooh, this is a really nice shot, everybody. Look at that. This is such an iconic shot of the jazz at Lincoln Center. You have all of the city lights reflecting on the rain. It's beautiful. Now we're gonna make a left on West 60th Street, and I want to show you the main entrance of the Mandarin Oriental Hotel. But I'm going to walk over there. See these Tom Wire investment banks leaving Wall Street? Is it the old buildings? No, not necessarily. I mean, you just have to think about what Wall Street really was originally in terms of the trading operations. Back in the day, they would literally trade with physical pieces of paper. That's why you had so many brokerage firms, right? But now, I mean, ever since the 1990s, you have computers. So there's really no reason why all of the banks and the financial firms and the hedge funds need to be, slammed together on Wall Street. There's just no need for it. The New York Stock Exchange, which is an amazing place, by the way, there's really not a lot of financial activity that goes on there anymore. It's really just a TV studio for CNBC. Now, there is market-making activity that goes on at the floor. I'm not saying that there's none. There is. But almost nothing. It's pretty much just like a TV studio. And if I had to bet, I think by the time I'm 75 or 80, please God I make it that far, I don't think there'll be anything down there. I really don't. I don't think there'll be anything down on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, and I think they'll turn it into a museum because you have computers, right? You have quantitative market makers, and there's really no reason, right? I mean, just think about how you place trades. Do you pick up the phone and call the broker? No, you don't. You roll off the side of your bed and log into your Charles Schwab, and you check your account, right? And that's why, if you think about a traditional investment bank, what they do, well, there's different departments or there's different arms of an investment bank. You could have sales and trading. This is the Mandarin Oriental, by the way. You have mergers and acquisitions, right? You have your back office. And the sales and trading departments at many of these big investment banks are in structural decline, right? There's just really no need for a lot of these sales traders anymore. It's not like the movies that you saw back in the 80s on Wall Street with people hitting the phones and going crazy and screaming and hollering, because there's no need for that anymore. It's obsolete. So no, it's not necessarily because of the old buildings. It's just due to technology. Now, if you want to think about New York City and Wall Street, you really want to think about Park Avenue. A lot of the family offices, hedge funds, investment banks are more around Park Avenue, sort of Times Square North. I mean, think about the old Lehman Brothers building, right? When Lehman Brothers went bankrupt in the financial crisis, it's now the Barclays Investment Bank, which is the British investment bank. It's just north of Times Square. And that's, created a little bit of a problem for the city, by the way, because the highest office vacancy in the entire city is, guess where? You guessed it, it is in the financial district. There's so much office vacancy there. It's a very good question. All right, everybody, this is the exclusive Mandarin Oriental Hotel, which is really coming alive tonight. There's so much activity. You have a lot of politicians and all sorts of people here tonight, obviously for the UN General Assembly. And this is a very fancy hotel. Now, we are going to be back in Brickell, Miami, starting on October 1st. And we will actually be walking directly past the Mandarin Oriental on Brickell Key, which I think you guys are gonna like. I think you guys are gonna like that. All right, let's head back towards Penn Station, 34th Street. We have a little bit of a walk a ways ahead of us, but we might as well get started on that now. And even the Trump International Hotel is almost totally booked out tonight. Look, every single room has a light on. You see more Sprinter vans pulling up. It's pretty much all lined up and down the street here, everybody. Look at that. Sprinter vans, black cars, pretty much as far as the eye could see. Michael's to show us the lobby. I'm not going to do that tonight. It's just a little bit too much activity going on. I don't want to cause any issues. I think if I just mosey on there in the lobby of the Mandarin Oriental tonight with the camera on this gimbal, with all the politicians and world leaders, the security guards are probably gonna, send my head through the roof. And I'm looking to keep my head on my shoulders tonight, team. We will take a shortcut through the Time Warner Center, though, just so I can get out of the rain. Whew, man. Finally some... Oh, man, that's nice. That's nice. Whew, to get out of the rain, that's very nice. Oh, my gosh, no way. Bambatis says that was my walk to college at John Jay. Dude. That's my alma mater as well. That was my same exact walk too. So we have a former, what was our mascot? The Bloodhounds, John Jay Bloodhound in the chat. Good to see you. Very cool. Yeah, you're right. 59th Street Columbus Circle is the main subway stop. And then you walk over to the T building. Those were good old days. Lots of CUNY alumni I noticed that joined Walks on Wall Street. Oh, cool. Bimbatis has studied international crime and justice and a minor in econ. Very similar. So I did criminal justice, minor in economics, and I took a lot of forensic accounting classes. Cool. That's awesome, man. This is the inside of the Deutsche Bank Tower now. Hey, Daniel G from Buenos Aires, Argentina. Daniel, thanks for joining us. We're just getting dry a little bit in the Deutsche Bank Tower. This is the main entrance to the Whole Foods. Looks like they're closing, so they, put the gate up here. I know, the jazz sign is kind of retro. Kind of nice. All right, let's head back out and go down to 34th Street, Penn Station. All right, team, umbrellas out. Hawaii, Colton Manning, you too. Blues writer, umbrellas. Team, umbrellas. All right, cool. I think we'll go over to 6th Avenue and then we will head down. Just a little bit of a more scenic walk. Hey, Gary, this is Tom. Good to see you from Alabama. Welcome. I'd like to visit Alabama one day. Never been there. Now, for those of you who are just joining, we've been talking about one of our newest listings at 74 Grand Street. It's a 2-bedroom, 3-bathroom loft-style apartment in the heart of Soho. It's an amazing property. If you want to see a full and exclusive tour, just type !grand, G-R-A-N-D, in the chat, and the Nightbot is going to drop the link to that property tour. You're not going to want to miss it. This is a one-of-a-kind property. It's a 32-ton cast iron facade. It's stunning. It's unbelievable, and I think you would enjoy it. So go ahead and check it out while you can. Let me adjust the camera. All right, we're good. Hey, Joe Driver, what's up? I see Melissa 2087. Let's see Melissa. This is the worst subway station ever, ironically. The 59th Street Columbus Circle station is the worst. And it's right on Billionaires Road too, which is so strange. You would think it would be clean, it would be great, but it is the worst one in the city, in my opinion. It smells so bad. Oh, it's just this world, it's so bad, man. Richard Vogels is what makes it the worst. Well, if you go down those stairs, it's like a very, very big homeless encampment almost. And it smells really bad because it gets very humid down there. So between the heroin, people smoking crack, and I mean every single drug under the sun is done there. And it smells like urine and fecal matter. It's just so horrendous. Whew, I even smell it. You can even smell it when you walk past the entrance here. That's how bad it is. And it's so surprising. And you guys know me, I don't like to be negative, right? I'm the biggest cheerleader for New York. But the city's got to do something about that. They should close that station down and for at least a week and do a deep scrubbing clean of the entrances to that station, because it's, I mean, my God, someone's gonna get sick. If you do have to take the subway to 59th Street, make sure you get out by the Deutsche Bank Tower and by the Trump Tower. If you get out on that side, the northernmost side, you're good. If you get out on the south side on 57th Street, no good. Speaking of the Trump Tower, it's right in front of us. You know, we'll go down Broadway. We haven't gone down Broadway in a long time. And you'll be able to see some of the most famous theaters in all New York. Mars Tech says, Tom, will you buy the new iPhone 15? I don't think so, Mars Tech. Now, I usually have like a 4-year upgrade cycle. I just don't think the 15 is really going to have any new features or capabilities that I'm gonna wanna take advantage of, to be honest. Currently, I use an iPhone 13 mini, and the only reason why I upgraded is because my iPhone 11, I didn't even crack the screen on it. I dropped it in Central Park. This was a while ago, guys. So I dropped it in Central Park, and you know what was the only thing that cracked on it? The camera. The only thing that I needed to use for the stream cracked. Everything else was perfect, but you had 2 massive cracks on either camera, so I had to get another one. But yeah, I mean, the 3D video, maybe we could do something with that. I don't know. What I think I may do is wait. What I think I may do is wait for the Vision Pro to really pick up steam. And if people actually like it, they use the product, then I may start to create content or even do some of these live streams where people may be able to watch it in 360, right? How cool would that be to be able to do a live stream through New York City, but you have a 360-degree view of where I'm walking. So for example, you put on the Vision Pro headset, I'm able to record 360 degrees to the front, the back, all around me. And you put on the Vision Pro headset and you're sort of like looking all around. I mean, that would be insane. Wouldn't that be cool? I think that'd be insane. To be able to throw a headset on and literally transport to New York City. That'd be unreal. But until those capabilities are like solid, I don't think I'll be buying the new one. So this used to be Bad Boy Entertainment right here, Bad Boy Worldwide. Sean Combs, P. Diddy's company used to be right here. Now it's totally vacant and abandoned. And this is crazy because this is prime Manhattan real estate. This is just north of Times Square. Everything is all blown out and it's all abandoned and it looks horrible. However, I believe the chat actually did some research on this, and this building is set for demolition early next year, I believe. And I believe it's going to be a complete rip and replace, and they're going to build something really nice, which they should, because this is West 54th Street and Broadway. I mean, it's smack dab in the heart of Manhattan. This is the Ed Sullivan Theater, home to Stephen Colbert. Now, out of all of the late night comedians in the chat, who do we think is the most talented or the best late night comedian? We always do this when we pass by the Ed Sullivan Theater. I'm gonna go, I really like Conan O'Brien. I think he has a good personality. Oh, 90s is Colbert, okay. Nice. Letterman, John, he was good. Patty S is Merv Griffin. Benz is Carson. Ross is Colbert. Yeah. Oh, Gutfield. Would Gutfield be, he's not into the whole political stuff. Hey, Dan Russell, says Conan. What's up, Dan? Good to see you, sir. God bless you. Hopefully you had a great summer. Vince is Carson all day long. We have a lot of Carsons and a lot of Gutfields. I wasn't expecting that. Now, I guess you could technically consider Gutfield a late night comedian guy, right? I guess. He is kind of fun. Oh, I like Jon Stewart. You're right. Jon Stewart is up there big time. Jon Stewart's up there big time. I like Colbert too. I think he's funny. He's edgy. James Corden, not a big fan, but not a fan. WM says Jon Stewart was my favorite, and he's also a good guy. Like, he's a genuinely good person, Jon Stewart. I believe he did a lot. Let me just cross the street. He did a lot for the 9/11 families, and I've always respected that about him. He's sort of a no-nonsense, straight shooter type of guy. He's for the people. So, yeah, I agree with that as well. Jon Stewart's great. Gary Carpenter says Conan is an idiot. I think he's funny. I think he has a very specific type of comedy. It's either you like it or you don't. Theo says Jon Stewart is amazing. Brian says Fallon. Fallon's good. I like Jimmy Fallon. Ooh, Bill Maher. Now, Bill Maher is very... it's so funny. I feel like I'm having deja vu. We always have this conversation when we pass the theater. But Bill Maher, to me, he has that like grouchy, grumpy, complainy style comedy, which is funny to certain people. Sometimes, to me, it could be a little bit exhausting, but in other times, it could be very, very funny. But that's his style, right? His style is more of like being the grump, the grouch, complaining kind of. It's hit or miss for me, but very talented guy. Steve Urkel. Yeah, that's right. 90s is Jon Stewart helped the 9/11 victims. You're right. Yeah, JJ says he stood up against the sociopaths. Who Dat Dave says he took a 180 on his political stance. This is the Stardust Diner. This is a very big tourist attraction. Now, in my opinion, it's just a regular diner. I'd probably go somewhere else. I won't say that too loud, but Mighty Mole says, don't forget Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis started in New York. Oh my God. Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr., you cannot find better entertainers than those people. Could we all agree on that? Sammy Davis Jr., Dean Martin, excuse me, Frank Sinatra. Just, that is total class. Like, such class acts. They don't make them like that anymore. Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., the Rat Pack. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Okay, we are now headed into Times Square, which is pretty empty tonight for a Sunday night. We're passing the famous Juniors, which is the cheesecake place that the original location is by Atlantic Terminal, Brooklyn. Yeah, ain't that a kick in the head is right. Now, I've spoken about this before, we've talked about it, but now that we're on the topic of comedians, I never heard of this guy before, unfortunately, until he passed away. They started recommending his content on YouTube like crazy. Oh my God, how could I forget his name? He has like the funniest style of comedy ever. I'm blanking on his name. It's Sunday, my brain is fried. I'll think of it. He has a very awkward style of comedy. How could I forget his name? I'm sure it's one of the chatters will put it in the chat. No, not Arsenio Hall. Norm Macdonald. Bingo, that's him. Norm Macdonald is absolutely, I mean, fall on the floor. Some of these clips I was watching on YouTube of him is unbelievably hilarious. And he's so funny to me because it's like cringeworthy watching it. Like, he puts some of the guests in such awkward situations. It's just, oh man, it's hilarious. If you want something fun to do, like on a weekend or something, if you're trying to relax or wind down, just go on YouTube and watch a bunch of Norm Macdonald highlight clips. That guy is funny. All right, Broadway, you can see the Krispy Kreme flagship shop here. Hey, Carl Roth, what's up? This is Tom. A rainy night motivates me to grab an umbrella and visit a second-hand bookstore. You? For sure, man. Unfortunately, they're all closed here in New York right now. Good to see you, Carl. Welcome. It's going to be a busy week, Carl, in New York. This is the UN General Assembly. We have U.S. President Joe Biden just landed in New York about 4 hours ago. And pretty much every politician and diplomat under the sun is in New York City right now. And will be here all week. Somebody says Carrot Top. He's a little bit too wonky for me, like a little bit too crazy. So we're headed into Times Square, and if you look all the way in the distance, there's going to be a little bit of a purple ball in the sky. That is the ball that they drop atop of One Times Square. New Year's. Oops, we just missed the light. That's all right. So this is officially the main location here in Times Square. These are two brand new billboards. We did pass Barclays. So Barclays is the old Lehman Brothers. And when Lehman Brothers collapsed, part of the deal is that Barclays would take over that space. We'll wait for the light. And right behind us is Morgan Stanley, by the way. Right here. Someone says for females, Wanda Sykes. She's hilarious, and I actually met her. I met Wanda Sykes on the subway. She sat right next to me when I was a little kid. And when I was on the subway with Wanda Sykes, there was a crazy guy having like a manic episode. So that's why I remember it. Because I was like, oh my God, it's Wanda Sykes. And then everybody was trying to move to the next car because somebody was having a full-on mental breakdown. It was horrible. And yeah, so that's my Wanda Sykes story. These are the red steps that are going to be closed whenever it rains, just so people don't slip and fall and hurt themselves. You can see Barclays all the way in the distance here. But since we're in Times Square, let's see if the wide-angle lens camera will work. I think it may be too dark for the wide angle. What do you think? Too dark, or does it look all right? A lot of people here tonight on a very, very rainy New York City night. Joan Rivers was great. Western Mass Dave, that's another great one. Joan Rivers, fantastic. All right, we're crossing West 46th Street. Once again, headed southbound. We're about to come up on the NASDAQ. This is where they shoot Squawk on the Street for CNBC. But if you're enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you are new. We usually go live starting at 8:30 p.m. This is a good shot of the billboards here. 1540 Broadway. It stopped raining. Let me close up my umbrella. It feels like half the people have the umbrella up, half don't. Now, we do have some news regarding Times Square. So big management consulting company EY, Ernst & Young, has now decided to leave Times Square, which was their main New York City headquarters, and move to the Hudson Yards. And we've been talking about this trend time and time again on the live stream. Particularly, you're seeing companies leave Class B office towers for more new and exciting Class A space in the city. However, I think the problem with Times Square in particular is that it's dirty. You don't really see it tonight because it was raining, so a lot of the people disperse. There's a lot of seedy characters here, and there's been a lot of complaints from the employees saying, I don't want to work in Times Square because it's getting dirty, there's crime, and they moved out. So Times Square has very, very high vacancy as it relates to commercial office. Very, very high. All right, let's exit. It is kind of nice to come to Times Square every once in a while, though. And here is the NASDAQ. When we cross the street, we'll probably be able to see the studio where they shoot Squawk Box. Squawk on the Street. This used to be the Investors Business Daily IBD studio as well. But I believe that studio is now into the News Corporation building, because News Corp purchased IBD for $250 million. But here it is. This is the studio. So when you turn on CNBC in the morning, this is 9 times out of 10 where it's broadcasted. Also the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. Hey, Arsenal fan 13, thank you so much for your generous $5 donation. Appreciate you very much. It says, hey Tom, lots of light pollution in Times Square, which has an effect on productivity too. Wow, I didn't know that. Whoa, really? That's an interesting stat. I did not know that. So light pollution has an effect on productivity. Thank you for that. Didn't know. Hey, Brad's Brains is Tom. Years ago, Bill O'Neill had a TV show on CNBC's predecessor. Oh man, I would have loved to watch that. You know, Brad, I'm in the process of purchasing a bunch of old Bill O'Neill tapes. So I'm sure you know the old IBD back in the day. They actually used to sell cassette tapes of Bill teaching those lessons. And I think I'm going to be able to get my hands on a few of them. Now, the only problem is, if I can get around this guy, the only problem is I don't know how I'm going to play them, because I don't have a cassette tape recorder and I don't know how to get one. So maybe I'll have to go on Amazon or something, or I don't know. Hey, Dick Knott says, are you Andrew Ross? Am I Andrew Ross? Oh, let me read that again. I am not Andrew Ross. I don't know who Andrew Ross is. Are you talking about Andrew Ross Sorkin? If you are, the answer is still no. But I do respect and appreciate Andrew Ross Sorkin a lot. But if you want to know a little bit about me, if you type !Thomas, THOMAS in the chat, it'll drop a little bit of a bio link about me and you could find out a little bit about who I am. But on a serious note, Andrew Ross Sorkin's a very talented journalist, and I think his coverage on the financial crisis of 2008 is better than anybody's. So check out his books. He's a controversial guy, like a lot of people, you know, take shots at him, but here's the thing. He's a journalist and his job is to ask those probing questions, and I think he does. So I give him 10 out of 10. 2 thumbs up. Stephen Bates says, I have a cassette player. Send it my way. You'll see me walking around Midtown Manhattan with, you know, 1995 headphones with the wire coming off a cassette tape player. I'm gonna be, I would assume you probably have to buy physical batteries, AA batteries. Hey, who dat Dave? Yeah, well, I think the thing with Tesla is that, and this is with really any company, right? And you're talking about, this is in reference to the TAM, the total addressable market. I didn't hear about it declining. Now, I think the TAM, the total addressable market, is going to be ever expanding for Tesla. The question is, what percentage of that TAM are they going to capture? So what do I mean by that? Well, think about all the competitors. It's everybody, right? Every single auto OEM by default has been forced into the EV game in some way, shape, or form, right? So you have competition. So I think the TAM, total addressable market, is enormous. The question is how much of that TAM is going to be captured by Tesla. They have first mover advantage, so I would still place a bet to say quite a bit of it. But there's a lot of competitors, you know, and there's a lot of startups, particularly in China, right? Like with NIO. But I think the quality of the vehicles and the quality of the data, Tesla is the leader in my view. I think it's really going to come down to who is the front runner in autonomous driving. And I think right now it's probably going to be Tesla and Waymo, which actually is a company owned by Google or Alphabet. Google Waymo. This is a really cool sculpture of like a blue whale. This thing is beautiful. Now, did anybody see that recent tweet by Elon Musk? And I guess we can't even call it a tweet anymore because the platform is called X. But Elon Musk addressed, again, the fact that Bill Gates has a massive, massive short position on Tesla. And to give you some further context here, let me do that. Allegedly, according to Elon Musk, Bill Gates came to Elon and asked for a very, very hefty donation for a climate cause, right? That really pissed off Elon Musk because it kind of comes off as hypocritical, right? Because you have a massive short position betting the stock is going to go to zero, right? Betting the stock is going to go bankrupt. And Tesla arguably does more for climate initiatives and climate change than any company, right? All of the other companies claim they do, but they just take advantage of the ESG grift, which is a total fraud. Tesla and Elon Musk is really the only company out of all of the woke companies out there that are actually doing something of substance to combat climate change. They're the only ones. And Bill Gates asks for a big donation for a climate cause, and that seems very, very hypocritical. which is sort of what I've been saying, right? That's my biggest problem with, a lot of the World Economic Forum stuff and big corporate America is they don't really want to change anything materially. They just want to blow smoke and gaslight, right? They'll say, oh, we have the best ESG score, we have the highest ESG score ever. But if you actually look at the actions from the company, they don't really do anything to materially change their, carbon footprint or anything, right? It's all just nonsense. But I think people are starting to realize that, that this whole ESG thing is a grift. Now, a lot of people, when I say that, get me confused and say, oh, Tom, you are one of these crazy right-wingers that don't believe in climate change and you want to destroy the environment. No. I just am well-versed on ESG, and I'm in the business, and I know what it means. And a lot of these ESG scores, and the battery's going to run out, but maybe we'll do an entire stream dedicated to environmental social governance. I think it actually does a lot more harm for the environment than good, right? It's actually pushed many countries towards more coal production, right? Burning more coal for energy, which is horrible. If anything, we as a global initiative, we should be putting all of our resources, all of our intellectual capital into nuclear power, because that is totally clean, 100% green energy, which is not going to pollute the environment. It's going to save the oceans, but nobody really wants to hear it. And another thing is this, and then we'll have to end the stream. The United States, Canada, and even Mexico, right, and the EU, does a really, really good job at trying to reduce its carbon footprint and do the right thing for the environment. It's China that, we live on a global planet, right? It's not just we live in our little box. So we need to get everybody on board is sort of what I'm trying to say. And if everybody is on board and sort of plays by the rules and wants to do right by the environment, then it'll work. But if you have China building more coal-fired power plants than ever before in a single year, well, you're just negating the entire thing. So you have to get everybody on board, or it's not going to work. All right, guys. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. If you enjoyed the live stream, feel free to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button if you're new, and I want to wish everybody a very happy, healthy, safe, and prosperous week ahead. It's going to be a busy one, and we're going to be covering it right here live on Walks in Wall Street. It is Fed Week. We're hearing from the FOMC meeting on Wednesday. We're going to hear from the Swiss National Bank, and then to end the week on Friday, we'll hear from the Bank of Japan with their negative interest rates. So everybody, thank you so much. This was a really fun stream. I will see you tomorrow. So fascinating. Thank you so much. Juan Fernandez, appreciate you. Gary Carpenter, NNB 045. All of our good moderators, Tommy G, Maria S, Madison 32, Western Mass Dave, Hambone, appreciate it. Stephen Bate, Hawaii, all of our fantastic moderators. Guys, have a great week. Get after it. Wake up ready to breathe fire as required to dominate the week, and we'll see you on Monday. Thanks.